My now ex-friend, 30s female, and I, 25 female, met just after my oldest daughter was born and discharged from the NICU. We're both preemie moms. We had been extremely close friends for the last 6 years and practically sisters. We always had each other's backs. By the way, this comes from Live Livin'. Her ex-husband, we'll call him Bob, and we'll call her Taylor, had been in an awful marriage. After going to Taylor's house the first time, I learned how harmful Bob was, but also how dysfunctional Taylor was. I understand being a mother and things getting overwhelming, and I'm never usually one to judge. However, the entire time I've known her, she's struggled to maintain her household and care for her 3 kids. Her house was consistently messy and chaotic, and she would drink heavily. There was a year or 2 of no communication with her for unrelated reasons, but during that time, she divorced Bob. She eventually ended up with her current fiancé, let's call him Kyle, since it's so fitting. Kyle is such a bad person that he makes Bob look like a saint. Taylor is forced into isolation by Kyle, who is always under the influence and playing video games. He's been known to open credit cards or loans in her name, drain her finances, and never help with household responsibilities or childcare. Both of them have been known to make poor decisions regarding their children's safety. She's become a nightmare in her own way. Back to the isolation issue. I got them to agree to a game night with all adults, me, Kyle, Taylor, and also now ex-friend of mine we'll call Jerome. I wasn't up for drinking, so I was the only one drinking juice. During this game night, Kyle decided to call Jerome a racial slur and made continuous discriminatory comments.
Oh, wow.
And he screamed back at me some awful things. Taylor refused to intervene, and we left. Whoa! Okay. That night, April 2024, Taylor and Jerome began talking and eventually ended up in a spicy affair the night of my birthday.
Oof.
I'm sorry. They had an affair the night of my birthday, using it as a cover to hook up. This is the earliest that I know of personally, but I do know this is one of many times they had slept together. She's continued to get worse and now only gets to see her kids once a week, but he is attempting to get full custody. Kyle is legally not allowed alone with her children due to his substance issues and behavior. I repeatedly brought it up to her that she should think about her children's well-being, not only with her engagement, but also with the fact that their living situation has become increasingly unstable. The children's living conditions have gotten progressively worse, with inadequate sleeping arrangements and very few belongings. If they try keeping their few toys neat, they'll be accused of making a mess, and the toys will be thrown away for good. Taylor used to work at the same school where I substituted, and I learned she was fired after an incident with a special education child involving inappropriate behavior. She is now not allowed to work with or be around children either. What?
Wow.
So Taylor, she is now not allowed to work with or be around children either. There's so much more to unpack, but I'm trying to keep this brief. However, yes, reports were made by many people who've witnessed their own sides to these things, but nothing was done. Our CPS agency is known for not helping. Now to the main issue. I've made it abundantly clear more times than I can count that with her affair and with how dysfunctional their relationship is, she should not be with Kyle. She considered leaving many times, and as someone who understands difficult relationships myself, I gave her the benefit of the doubt with her hesitation. I eventually realized that this was no longer about being stuck in a bad situation. This was how she was from the start, and I had been blind to it out of optimism. My partner and I ended up having to move to a place that didn't allow pets, and it was an emergency situation. We found close friends to have our pets go to where we knew they would be safe, cared for, loved, and would thrive. We get updates every day and are still actively part of our fur babies' lives. Despite this, I got a message in the middle of the night when Taylor thought I was asleep. Roughly a week prior to this message, she was having an indirect tantrum about me being pregnant again. I bought a dress a year ago with what little money we had due to the wedding date constantly changing, but I got one that would fit me regardless and that she approved of. She originally wanted me to be her maid of honor, but switched me to a bridesmaid without telling me. Whoa, that's a big... Her new maid of honor bailed on her, and I had offered to help her ensure everything was in order, but she refused. She would punt me out of the group chat. I learned she talked horribly about me to someone who attempted to sleep with my fiancé, and so on. Why are we friends? It said that because of Kyle, they didn't want me in the wedding. Mistreated my pets. Mind you, the situation we were in caused me to rehome them to close friends and ensure their care and a bunch of other things. I had finally had enough of their crap. It wasn't about the wedding. Honestly, I was extremely relieved to not be forced to go and had been dreading it for months because I don't take marriage or affairs lightly. Out of respect for what I thought was my friend, I kept my mouth closed about the affair, including for a better part of the time following. What bothered me the most was that I had been there for her to help her every chance I got, even when she was at her lowest points due to her drinking. I've had things said to me and let it go. I personally dealt with a lot, but never complained. Being tossed to the side is one thing, but being accused of something horrible is another. My reaction in that moment was to snap back about how they treat their household, her kids, their relationship, and tell her she better tell him about the affair then. It's not my proudest moment, but I'm pregnant and pissed. I took a month since then to collect myself and ended up deciding to do something. I reached out to Bob and his sister about everything the kids have been going through and warned them about what course she planned to take. I did this under an alias for my own family's protection, but sent over some proof. A few weeks later now, I got a reminder on my phone of their wedding coming up and ignored it. Facebook to doom scroll and saw my old post of when they were first hooking up. To my knowledge, I basically said enough was enough. As much as I absolutely hate Kyle, he never cheated on Taylor and deserved to know. I know it may seem like a petty thing, but I assure you I assessed it prior to doing this. I got onto an alias and messaged Kyle about the affair. I can't take that to my grave either, and it's been eating at me since I was aware of it. They used me to cover for them more times than I can count, and I absolutely hate things like this. I needed to put this to rest and not worry about a friendship breaking when it's already been broken. It's also been causing significant stress to me no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. With heart failure, it's already affected my health substantially.
Oh, wow.
But I feel selfish for needing this skeleton out of my closet and back to where it belongs. And you guys edit. So today's the day of their wedding. Kyle has not seen my message yet, so I took a more drastic measure.
Oh, boy.
I went through my texts and found the proof of Taylor's affair with Jerome. I had evidence from when I was helping coordinate things between them, not knowing the full extent of what was happening. The texts show me acting as a go-between back in January. Why were we acting as a go-between? On January 6th, around 10 p.m., I was texting Jerome saying I was talking to Taylor and she wasn't opposed to something, and he responded excitedly. 20 minutes later, I told him to pick up his phone because Taylor had said yes to him taking her out on a date that Friday.
I'm sorry.
So you knew. January 10th, which was my birthday party, where they hooked up for the first time, Jerome texted 5 years later with crying emojis. After we all went home around midnight and they left together at 2:07 a.m., Jerome texted me, dropping her off in 3 minutes. I have more evidence, but I need to find it, since most of their communication was through calls, Snapchat, and in-person conversations. Looking at these texts now, I can see how I was being used to help facilitate their affair without fully understanding what was happening at the time. You